Welcome back to Premier League score predictions. It is game week 34. No one cares about the Champions League malarkey except for Chelsea and Man City. The rest of us here, we're committed to the Premier League.
I'm not sure if everyone agrees with that, Gary. I think quite a few people are interested in the Champions League, but we'll ignore your stupid opinions and we'll move on to Premier League predictions. But before we do, we just want to say a quick thank you to every single one of you guys that comment and like my posts. We appreciate every single one of you. And if you haven't done already, drop this video a like. It really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm.
First up is Southampton versus Leicester City. And Southampton, they didn't play in the last game week, so they've been preparing all week for Leicester City. But the previous game against Tottenham, I felt like they started off really well. You know, they attacked really well against Tottenham, and Danny Ings got a very good glancing header. It was really impressive finish. But then he sort of tweaked his hammy and it kind of all went to shit after that. I think, you know, it was an excellent goal from Gareth Bale and Tottenham completely took advantage of Southampton in the second half. And yeah, they couldn't come back from that and lost it 2-1. That's one winner in 5 games now for Southampton. You've got a couple of teams there on 36 points. Like, whilst I don't think that they will get relegated, they just want that final win to make it 39 points and they'll be safe.
Yeah, 100% agree with that, Gary, on Southampton. But for Leicester, they got that 2-1 win over Crystal Palace. And you know what? When Palace scored and Zaha scored, and it was a good goal that they scored, I thought it was actually going to be a bit of a shit show for them, maybe similar to what we saw with the West Ham game when they lost 3-2. But they actually did really well to come back. And it was that man again, and he has been on fire these last few months, Iheanacho. And if it wasn't enough that he got the assist for the first goal, that second goal was absolutely filthy. It was an absolute brilliant finish. So I think, you know, as I say, they went 1-0, 1 goal down, but I think overall they played well, managed to bring it back.
Score prediction then. Who are you going with there?
I have to stick with Leicester. I think I'm going 2-1 Leicester.
Yeah, I try not to overcomplicate this one. It's only if Leicester decide to stop playing because they're in the Champions League, but I'm going 2-1 Leicester.
Next game up is Crystal Palace versus Manchester City. And if you don't know what happened in Crystal Palace's last game, obviously you didn't watch us 5 seconds ago when we went through it, but I'll quickly touch on it again. It was that 2-1 loss to Leicester City. Now, first up is a very good goal by Zaha. It's a very good run by him. And I'd say the assist was better than the goal. Is that outrageous to say, Gary?
No, that was a very lovely assist at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm glad you agree. I thought that was an outrageous thing to say, but they defended resiliently until half time, and it was just in that second half Leicester stepped up the gears, and Crystal Palace weren't able to deal with that. So unfortunately for them, you know, it's 2 very good goals. Although one of them was from a mistake, but yeah, it finished 2-1 for them.
As for Man City, they completed the first of the potential treble against Tottenham, which is intense, but you know that silverware is all what they're about this season. And you know, coming up against Crystal Palace, I feel like they're going to heavily rotate. They're going to have to, because they've played Tottenham on the weekend and they're going to have to play PSG. So yeah, it really is a case, because I think they should easily beat Crystal Palace, but rotating the team, do they have the legs and do they have the creativity after 2 massive games here?
Yeah, 100%. And bear in mind that this has been an especially tough season for players with their non-stop games. So it's a good point. What's your prediction for this one?
They only need 2 wins to complete the title, but I'm outrageously going for a 2-2 here.
Yep, I see. I like the fact you're backing up your word there, Gary, but I am actually going to go for Manchester City 3-1.
Next up is Brighton versus Leeds United. And Brighton, that loss was probably one of the worst in the most recent couple of games. You know, they haven't won the last couple of games, but it was against really good opposition. They played Man United, Everton, and they played Chelsea. And you're thinking against Sheffield United, who are relegated, who are just playing for pride, this was the game to pick up 3 points and be safe with it all. But no, they conceded a sloppy goal, and then from then on, they just couldn't finish their chances once again. I do feel bad for Brighton, because I was really confused about that VAR call. Like, I don't understand how that's been called an offside, because the ball hasn't been played forward. So I didn't think that would be an offside. Like, did you see it as well?
Yeah, I don't know. I did have quick research. I can't actually see anything on this rule because the thing is, if the ball's being played back, the player in the offside position is no longer at an advantage because he has to go further than any defender.
Yeah, so in my mind, that goal was fine, but he was offside if the ball went forward, but it didn't. So, like, I'm really confused.
Look, I mean, let's be honest. It wouldn't surprise me if the officials maybe guessed what the rule should be in that situation, because how rare is it? But yeah, I feel like they guessed, and in my opinion, I think it's probably wrong.
Yeah, we may be wrong. They may have changed the offside rule, but yeah.
As for Leeds, in their last game, they got that 0-0 draw against Manchester United. And, you know, I see some people saying that kind of it wasn't that much of a good game. I actually think tactically it was quite an interesting game to watch. And I think a draw in the end of it was fair. At least that's what Bielsa said. He said it in his own special madman way. But I think his essential words were a draw was a fair result. But it was quite interesting watching Leeds try to nullify Manchester United, and more specifically Bruno Fernandes, which I felt they actually did very well. He only actually got one shot. Well, he weren't on goal. He actually missed a target, but he only kind of got one opportunity. So I think Leeds played very well, and as I said, deserved the draw. Before we do predictions, I just want to add on the Premier League. Hypocrites. This is the third paid subscription you need to have if you want to watch all Premier League games. Fucking-crits.
What is it like? Sky Sports 3 or something? Is that what?
Sky Sports, Amazon Prime, BT Sport.
Oh, okay.
Fuck yes.
All right, score prediction. Who do you think is going to win this one? Do you think Leeds are going to carry on their good form?
I do. I'm going 1-0 Leeds.
I'm going 2-0 Leeds here. I just don't have much faith in Brighton at the moment.
Next up is Chelsea versus Fulham, and in the Chelsea's last game, they got that 1-0 win over London rivals West Ham, and that was actually even a more important win considering the fact that both of those teams are fighting out for Champions League positions. What surprised me with Chelsea's lineup is I thought there would be a lot more rotation considering the important midweek game they had coming up, but there wasn't that much rotation. But the team they put out was more than good enough. I think they played better than West Ham. They created the better chances. It could have been maybe 2-0 or 3-0. I think Mount had a chance. Werner had another chance, but the chance he's been missing. I think one's enough. Do you know what I mean? It was a one. It was a good fit. It was a good run. It was a good finish. One's enough. That'll do. Good performance by Chelsea. As
for Fulham, they haven't played since that draw against Arsenal, where they really let in the goal right at the death. And you think if they had those 2 points, they'll be in a much better position now. It's kind of last chance saloon for Chelsea, and yeah, it's difficult against a Chelsea side who's been very impressive. I think Chelsea are really good at making sure the other team doesn't create a lot of chances, and they just capitalize on a couple of good chances that they create. So it's gonna be difficult, but I give them a chance because, like you say, they played a strong team, and they played obviously a strong team against Real Madrid. So there might be some tired legs.
What's your prediction for this one?
After giving that explanation, I'm still going to go Chelsea 2-1. And that might be it for Fulham this year.
I'm going to go Chelsea 1-0. They've been very good at keeping clean sheets. So I'm going to keep that going in my prediction.
Next up is Everton versus Aston Villa. And Everton, that was a very, very important win to get. They haven't been winning a lot of games. I don't think they've won their last six in the competitions. They haven't been playing well recently, but that was an important win, and they have got a game in hand against the Chelseas and the West Hams for Champions League. It kind of took an own goal for them to get through and win their game, but when you're on a bad run of form, I think you need that type of luck. They performed well. They put in good effort. Whilst I don't quite agree with Ancelotti saying that they're back. I mean, we kind of have to see Everton, the free-flowing Everton that we saw at the beginning of the season, to really say that. But this is a very positive result.
For Aston Villa, it was that very, very entertaining game against West Brom in which it finished 2-2, and it was a game that almost had everything. I think all it was missing was maybe a red card. I feel like maybe a few of the players owed it to the football to get sent off, so then we could say it had everything. But I think Villa, I think they'll be a little bit disappointed with themselves with this one. I think the performance wasn't great. Okay, yes, West Brom have been on some good form, but they took a last-minute goal from that young lad Davis for them to get the 1 point. Sorry, and I feel like that's not the Aston Villa we're used to seeing this season. So I feel like they would have probably expected more performance-wise, but in the end, last-minute goal from a kid from the academy, I think they'll take that.
Yeah, 2 sloppy penalty giveaways from each team. It was quite a really entertaining game, but score prediction. This is a bit of a tricky one, I feel. Who are you going for?
I'm going with Villa, 2-1.
I'm going with Villa too. I just don't like how Everton are playing currently, so I'm going Aston Villa 2-0.
Next up is Newcastle versus Arsenal. And in Newcastle's last game, they got that 1-1 draw with Liverpool. And here's the thing. I think they defended like kind of resilient, make sure they kind of got plenty of players behind the ball, because in the first half it was Liverpool who were creating the chances, and weirdly enough I feel like it was one of the more difficult chances that Salah scored from, but Newcastle got back into it, or so they thought. 90th minute, Wilson scores and it's taken away by VAR, which I thought was quite cruel. But then what happens? That man, the super sub Willock, where has this come from? He's like the new the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You bring him on as a sub and he is going to score. And he did it again in the 95th minute. It was absolutely brilliant. And Steve Bruce, I reckon you could smack him in the face right now, even though it's been a few days since, and he would still have a smile on his face.
Yeah, no, these are some good results against like some tough teams he's been scoring against. Yeah, thank God he's not eligible for Arsenal. As for Arsenal, that is shit. Basically, it's carbon copy of the Fulham game. Copy and paste that straight to the Everton game, and that's what we got. But if we can help Everton on their way to their quest to Champions League football, we will do that. Considering the other teams in and around there, we're nowhere near it. So yeah, it was bad. As soon as Leno conceded that goal, it's shades of Manuel Almunia. Once I saw that, I was like, fuck, we're fucked. And I had no faith that Arsenal were going to come back. I just think, at the moment, Arsenal go through extremes of not being able to create chances, and then for a couple game weeks they can create as many as they want, and they're currently where they are right now.
I have one question for you, right, on Leno. I see it seems to me he's been a bit off form this season, like nowhere near how good he was like kind of last season. How can you go from having 2 of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League to like having like...
I wanted to keep Martinez. I've said this every single week. I feel like Leno, he does like 6 or 7 very good games, and he'll do a clanger, and like goalkeepers, you just can't do clangers. He's got that in his locker, which is quite scary. What's
your prediction for this one?
I am going, because Willock can't play, I'm going Arsenal 1-0.
I'm going for 1-1, because I'm assuming that if Willock was there, it would be 1-1, and he would score in the last minute to be 2-1. Because he's not there, I'm going 1-1.
Next up is the biggest game in the English Football League history, and it's Man United versus Liverpool. For Man United against Leeds United, it was somewhat a lackluster performance. They didn't create enough chances that I thought they needed to deserve the win. Bruno Fernandes was kept relatively quiet, didn't really have that many chances to score. Leeds created some good chances, and I thought maybe Man United were quite lucky with the VAR call, because how easy VAR give away handballs throughout the season. And sure, of course he didn't mean it, but I think they might have got a bit lucky with that one. But it doesn't matter. Man United are safe. They're second. They're doing well. They're not within a shout of getting the Premier League, so they just cemented it for now.
To be fair, the handball rule has changed about 5 times this season, so who knows these days?
Yeah, but you never know. There is always, as a fan, you're there and you're praying that something ridiculous doesn't happen, because it can easily happen.
And for Liverpool, I'm going to do this quick, because I think that one will hurt Liverpool fans, and I think it's for 2 reasons. One, I touched on the obvious. It was that last-minute goal after they thought they were saved by VAR when Wilson was judged to handballed the ball. That makes sense. But I still, the other reason why I think Liverpool fans will be upset is because they actually played really well in that first half and they created quite a few chances which they should have scored. They should have been higher than 1-0 up and they didn't take their chances. So as much as it is frustrating to concede in the last minute, they should have been more up.
Score prediction then. Who you got for this one? This could be a topsy-turvy game.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go 1-1.
I'm going 3-2 Manchester United. I think they're just the more consistent team.
Next up is Tottenham versus Sheffield United. And in Tottenham's, in their last Premier League game, it was that 2-1 win over Southampton where they got that last minute penalty. Son was able to tuck that away. And the first half performance was pretty bad by them. Southampton were rightly ahead and by far the better team. But in that second half, they were able to... I think they gave themselves, maybe it was Mason who gave them a bit of freedom and they were just a little bit braver to go forward, put some numbers forward and they were able to create some chances for themselves. I think in the end, maybe just about a fair result with the win. Is a tough one, either a draw or a win, but Tottenham will be very happy just to get back to winning ways, which didn't last very long as they lost the League Cup final.
That was an exquisite goal by Gareth Bale though, I thought.
It was a lovely goal by Gareth Bale. I just want to touch on the League Cup final. That is that Tottenham. I did not believe you guys were going to win until basically the 70th minute. You gave me 10 minutes. Like you literally left it 10 minutes to say, I'm going to make him believe. And then you took it away.
I kind of feel like, faith is restored in football with the old joke about Tottenham not winning anything because we've gone through some rough patches with the European Super League and this was brought us back to what we know.
I'm just going to ignore what you said there.
Couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. As for Sheffield United, I feel like the Sheffield United fans, they needed that one. They deserve that one. They've been losing It's so difficult to rock up, support your team, like when you can't go into the stadium and watch them lose like week after week. They took advantage of some very sloppy defending from Brighton, but that's exactly what you have to do. And they dug in and they defended. And Brighton, couldn't capitalize on the chances that they created. And Sheffield United knows the frustration of that throughout this season. So take the win, enjoy it, and see.
Didn't I say, by the way? Didn't I say Sheffield United would turn up and start picking up points as soon as they're actually mathematically relegated?
Yeah, but they haven't. They lost every single game for like five games. So one win.
Don't take that from me. What's your prediction?
I back Tottenham to go heavy here. I back them to win 3-0.
Yeah, I'm going 2-0 Tottenham.
Next up is West Bromwich Albion versus Wolves. And West Brom, that was a crazy game. But I really felt as though they needed that win. With Brighton losing, this was the perfect opportunity. An extra 2 points would have, really helped their cause. Like going 1-0 down, yeah, it's a silly penalty, but West Brom got back into it. They went 2-1 up, and I felt like they should have gone 3-1 up. Martinez did some like crazy save, and that would have been it. But right at the end, it's a serious cock-up between the defender and the goalkeeper. One of the two just has to take charge in that situation. Doesn't matter. You just got to clear it or put a foot through it. It was that terrible. And I don't know. 5 games left, 15 points on the table. I kind of feel like they need 13 out of 15. So I think there's too much for West Brom.
Yeah. Have you noticed there's a trend of players making mistakes towards the tail end of the season? You reckon players are kind of getting more mentally drained from this excessive amount of game season?
Yeah, I do, but that one right there doesn't. It's nothing to do with the effort. I mean, one of them just needs to deal with it.
Yes, and for Wolves, look, Wolves fans, you know the deal. I think when teams kind of get beat quite big margin, we like to do a little light touch to try and stop you guys from just pulling your ears out from listening from the performance. So all I'm going to say is Chris Wood, I don't know where he plucked that from, but he absolutely obliterated Wolves. But yeah, we'll move on quick for you guys.
Score prediction then. Who are you going for?
I'm going for Wolves to bounce back. I'm going 1-0 Wolves.
You know, I think conceding that last-minute goal for West Brom, that might have taken the wind out of their sails. You saw the players just like on the floor, you know, super upset. So I'm going Wolves 1-0 on this one.
And on to the final game. It is Burnley versus West Ham. And as I touched on briefly, Burnley's last game was that 4-0 win over Wolves. And I just don't know where that Chris Wood performance came from. It's just like everything he touched in that game just turned to gold. It was 3 very good goals, I felt. He just kept getting into good positions. And just when you think it's almost a perfect performance, he goes and caps it off with an assist towards the end of the game. He was just brilliant that game. He was literally unstoppable. A very, very good performance by Burnley.
Yeah, Cristiano Wood. He was there right in that game.
Said no one ever.
As for West Ham, you know, yeah, that was tough. That was a massive game. And they just couldn't create enough chances against this Chelsea team. I think Chelsea are very good at nullifying other teams from creating chances against them. They stopped West Ham being like the free-flowing West Ham that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. They just didn't have the space in behind to go and run, and Chelsea were very aware of that and stifled Jesse Lingard and co in that game. I was just very disappointed in the goal that they conceded. It was like a low cross, low cross, but no one dealt with it, and then the Chelsea player just walked in and tapped it in. That was really weird. So that was my only criticism other than...
I think it's worth mentioning as well the red card. I feel like...
Yeah.
I watched it about, it must be about 100 times. And here's the thing. I actually think that the referee kind of made the right decision. And I feel like VAR, when they looked at it, it was a very tough decision to make.
Wait, you mean the referee made the right decision at the time by not giving a red card?
Yeah, because basically I had to watch that so many times to just fully understand kind of what actually happened. And I know he's following through, but it just looked a bit weird the way he followed through. But I think in the end it was a follow through. But if you have to watch it like I did 100 times to come to that decision, surely it's not clear and obvious. So you just stick with the on-field decision anyway.
Yeah. I don't think you can overrule it based on that. Like, I definitely know, playing football, if you kick the ball, you can definitely keep a follow-through and you could dig someone out right afterwards. But that's not what I thought he did. So it was quite mental.
What's your prediction for this one?
I think West Ham going to come back. Although it might be a frustrating game. I'm going 2-1 West Ham. Yeah,
it's tough to get a West Ham kind of in the middle of a bad patch now, or are they going to come back against Burnley? And I think I'm going to go down the middle, and I'm going to go for a 0-0.
Anyway, that is all for this week's Premier League score predictions. Get your scores in the comments below, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, see you next week.